Hello everybody, I am Krishna Rao Patro. Today we'll see an application on multi-level inheritance. One of the important concept of OOPS, that is inheritance. In inheritance again, multi-level inheritance. In the previous session I think you have seen how to use single level inheritance. Now we'll see multi-level inheritance. That means more than one level of hierarchy is called multi-level inheritance. For example, there is a class called A, class called B, class called C. Now, A is my grandparent class. This class having set of attributes and set of methods. Those things will be derived by class B. So, class B is my parent class. So, that means whatever the properties are there with the grandparent, that will be also available to the parent class. So that means you are reusing the existing resource. Now there is one more class called C, that is a child class. That is child class. This class will be deriving the property from B. Deriving the property from B. Now whatever the properties are there with A, that is available to B, at the same time available to C also, because of the inheritance nature. Now C is getting the property from B. Fine. Assume here some attributes are there, methods are there. These attributes and methods will be available to the B. Similarly, B having some attributes and some methods. Assume this is A1, M1, this is A2, M2. Similarly, C also having some attributes A3, M3. So now the C will have A1, M1, A2, M2 at the same time A3, M3 also, because of the inheritance. So inheritance says that the parent's property will be available to the child. Of course, there are some different types of properties are there. Some private property, some public property, some protected. If it is private, those things will not be available to the child. Other than private, everything will be available to the child. So now, for B, A is the parent. For C, B is the parent. Okay. So now, you can utilize this concept in an application. Let us see. I am having a class called Electronics class. Whatever the properties are there or whatever the methods are there, that will be also available to the grinder class. So grinder is also an electronic device derived from electronics. So this class having set of methods and set of attributes, that will be available to a class called grinder class. The grinder class is now acting like a child of electronics. Whatever the properties are there with the grinder class, that will be available to the wet grinder. To the wet grinder. So now I can say wet grinder is deriving the property of grinder, at the same time electronic device. So indirectly I can say every wet grinder is a electronic device or electronics product. Okay. Now whenever this type of application comes, then you can implement the inheritance concept. Now this type of example comes under multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. Right? Now let us implement through a Java program. How you can implement? So if you want to implement through Java, you would use a special keyword called extends. That means grinder extends the electronics behavior. Similarly, wet grinder extends the grinder behavior. So here you should write extends keyword. Here also you would use the keyword called extends. So now this is my grandparent, this is the parent, this is the child. So whatever the public property as well as protected properties are available of the parent, that will be available to child. Now let us implement through Java program. A class called electronics, and for that class I am writing a constructor. The constructor name is same as class name. Here simply I am initializing. That means whenever I am trying to create an object of the parent, immediately this particular method will be displayed. Now, there is one more special method called device type. So whenever I am calling this method, it will say that it is a electronic device type or device type is electronics. This method will display what type of device, whether it is electronic device or electrical device or mechanical device. So some sort of message. Here I want to display it is a electronic device. So that means this method will be available to the grandparent. Now same method should be available to my child also. Here the grinder is the child of electronics class. So now grinder extends electronics. So now electronics is my class having a method called display type. Sorry, device type. Device type is what? It is my method. This method is available under which section? Public section. I told you if it is a public, that will be available to child also. If at all you write private, that will not be available because private property is fully confidential. That will not be available to child also. So if you want to share your resource with others, put in public or protected. Fine. Now this class is now derived by another class called grinder. Now when I write grinder class, the grinder class getting the property of my parent. Now device type is also available here. In addition to the parent, you can write your own method called category. Assume there is a method called category. This method also available to this one. Now there is one more class called wet grinder. Wet to grinder. So now I can say wet grinder is one type of grinder. And grinder is one type of electronics product or electronics device. Now this wet grinder having its own method. What method? Grinding technology. So here I write grinding technology is a method. Yeah. So my grinder class derives the property of the electronic class. The wet grinder derives the property of grinder. So whatever the attributes are there or whatever the methods are there, that will be available to wet grinder also. So now the wet grinder having only one method, which is also public. Of course, you can have one more class also. The wet grinder can be derived by some other class also. Now it is a one type of multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance. Now how to execute this program? Let us execute this particular program. Let us see. Now I want to execute it. Control N. Now whatever the classes we have discussed, this thing I want to implement through my Java program. How many are there? There are 3 classes. This is my electronics class. This is my constructor. This constructor prints a message. In addition to constructor, we are having a method called device type. Now this method is under public section. If it is a public section, that will be available to my child as well as grandchild. Now grinder derives from electronics class. So when you write extends keywords, it tells that you have implemented inheritance concept. So in Java, for implementing inheritance, you would use extends keyword. Similarly, in the grinder class also, we are having a constructor. So please remember, the constructor name is same as class name. So here the name of the class is grinder. So the constructor name also grinder. So constructor name is same as class name. So I am having a method called category method. This category method displays what type of category, what type of product this is. It's a grinder type. And this grinder is what? Is a constructor. So for every class, you can have a constructor. This is a special method. It will be called only once when object is created. Fine. Similarly, there is one more class called wet grinder. In wet grinder derives from extents. Sorry, from grinder class. And here also I am having one constructor. And here having one method, grinding technology method. Now, let us write the driver class. Test multiple inheritance MLI. Here I will write my main method, public static void main string arguments array. Now here what I will create object of wet grinder. How to create object? So to create object, always you have to use the name of the class. The name of the class is wet grinder class and the object is obj. Of course, you can write obj, you can write some other name also. There is no restriction. This equal to initialize object, you have to use first new. New is the keyword which is useful for to allocate memory. And then to initialize object, you have to call the constructor. So the name of the constructor is wet grinder and pass. So my object is ready. Once object is ready, this wet grinder object, it can invoke grinder technology, it can invoke category, it can invoke device type also. Because of the inheritance, all the methods are available to the parent, to the child. Now, let me call obj dot grinding technology. So that means I am calling this particular method of the child itself. That means you are creating object of the child and you are calling the same method. So for this, no problem at all. Let us run it. Test MLI dot Java. Now let us execute it. Java C text MLI Java text MLI, compile it. Yeah. Now, if you observe here, this line grinding technology wet grinder, this comes from that method. But these three, from where it's coming? Class inheritance, class grinder, class wet grinder. This is called automatically when the object is created through constructor. Because when you write the constructor methods, those methods will be called directly whenever object is initialized. So that's why we are getting this. So first to which one will be called? First to parents constructor, then child, then grandchild. This is the way it works. And here I called only my last one. That means whatever the methods are there with the child, those methods I called. Now, in the grinder, grinding technology method is there. In the wet grinder, there is a method of category. This category also available to the wet grinder class. Because this is a public method, this public method also available to wet grinder. So now here, let me call obj dot category method. So when I call this one, what will happen? Automatically this control goes there. Let us run. Compile it. Run. Yeah. So now I got the category also. Category is grinder type. So category is grinder type. This method is called. Similarly, assume I want to call device type. Device type is what type? It's a electronics type. This particular statement has to come. So that means I should invoke this method. So whatever the statement you are writing in that method, those things will be executed. So that means this method I can call through this object. So now, actually obj is what type? It is an object of my grandchild. Obj dot wet grinder. Control S. Compile it. Yes, compile successfully. Now invoke it. Java. test MLI. Now I am calling this. Yeah. So device type is electronics. So this come from grandchild. This is from my parent. This is from my grandparent. All the methods you can call. So because of inheritance, you can invoke any method. If you want to pass some parameter, for example, I want to have some parameter here. Electronics, some parameter, string type, some name, electronics name. Assume here I want to have some special name. So I'll define here string name. This name I want to assign. So if you want to assign, you can write this dot name equal to name. And here also I want to have one more type of grinder. So here let me have type, string type, string type. So whatever the type I am passing, this I should assign it. This dot type equal to type. Similarly, here I want to have wet grinder, how much weight it can grind. Integer weight, integer weight, int weight. So here when my constructor is called, this dot weight equal to weight. Now every constructor having different parameters. So here what I will do, I am creating only one object, but this has to call iteratively to my grandparent as well as parent as well as grandparent. So my child needs one weight. Assume it can grind up to 5 kg. So 5 is first parameter. This grinder is what type? It is a smooth or hard type. Assume it is a smooth grinder. So here I will pass smooth grinder. So I am passing one parameter smooth type. And whether it is a China electronics or Indian electronics or Korean electronics. Assume this is my Korean electronics. Korean device. Korean. So I am passing 3 parameters to my wet grinder. But my wet grinder constructor having only one. So I have to change it. As I am passing 3 parameters. First one is weight. Second one is type. So here I will pass comma string type comma string name. So I am passing 3. But these 3 parameters has to go to my parent and grandparent. So to call this one, there is a keyword called super. So you can call a super method. Out of 3, you have to pass 2 to your parent as well as grandparent. So I will pass type comma name. So automatically this data goes to my parent as well as grandparent. So when I am calling this super method, the control comes to this place. But the grinder takes only type. But it has to pass its data to your parent. So here what I will do, I will pass first to type, because here passing type and name. So here I will write one more parameter called name, string name. Now type is available to my parent itself, but the name should go to my parent. So who is the parent of grinder? The parent of grinder is electronics. So I will call my parent's constructor. How to call parent's constructor? By calling super with a name. So that means indirectly you are going one by one, step by step. So you are not calling the constructor directly, your parent as well as grandparent. You are creating object of child. The child is calling parent's constructor. Okay. So now this goes here. Whatever the name you are passing, let me print that name, comma name. Similarly, whatever the type you are passing, let me print that type. because whatever data you are passing, let it print it. Print it. Similarly, whatever the weight of the grinder, how much weight it can grind, plus weight. This is the name you can write. Okay. So here I am passing 5 kg. It is a smooth grinder and it is a Korean made. So where it is constructed? Now let us execute. Compile it. Yes, compile. Now there is a semicolon missing. Semicolon, wait. Because when you declare a variable, you should give a semicolon at the end. Java C. Yes, compile. Now Java followed by test MLI. Test MLI. The name not from Y. The name is THT test MLI. Yeah. So Java followed by first you have to compile it. Java C test MLI dot Java. Yes, compile it. Now Java test MLI. Now compile it. Yeah. Now the electronic type is Korean type and grinder is a smooth grinder and the grinding capacity is 5 kg. So this data I am passing to my parent as well grandparent. So we are creating object of child. Child is passing the data to initialize the object of parent as well as grandparent. So if you want to initialize those things, always call the super constructor. So the super method helps you to initialize the attributes of your parent as well as grandparent. So this is the way you can initialize the object of your child, grandchild as well as the parent. So electronics class is my, I can say grandparent, grinder is my parent and the wet grinder is child. But you are creating object of child object. But through child object you are initializing your parent as well as grandparent. So this is the way you have to write. So please go through this program to implement your multi-level inheritance. This is the first class. This is the second class. So please go through. And the main is to invoke parent constructor. This is to invoke parent constructor. To invoke parent constructor. Similarly here, this is also you have to invoke parent constructor. To invoke parent constructor. Okay. Then this is your driver code. Fine. So this is the way you have to develop your multi-level inheritance based program. Fine. So thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.